Welcome to Between State Lines.
Welcome back to Between State Lines, episode 13, lucky number 13, which is wild. We have officially crossed the 50 play threshold, but we have 9 followers on Spotify, and we're growing. It's amazing. I was on TikTok Live last night and talking about alien abductions with some random viewer, which is wild to think about.
Scary. That was like one of the first things. Creepy stuff was kind of cool and alluring to me. The alien abductions was one of the first things I was truly terrified of as a child.
Were you terrified of getting pulled up in the spaceship yourself?
No, it wasn't the spaceship. I watched this thing on late night TV. That's what did it. It was some show that like my parents or family friend were watching, and it was like this alien came out of the storm drain. And I had go-karts as a kid, and we used to go to like these storage things we lived in San Diego at the time, and there were this storage area that we'd ride our go-karts around because there's like really no place that you could do that. And every time I passed the storm drain, I was like, "Oh, got to go way around it." I was just terrified that I was going to see that image again of that alien coming out of the storm drain, and I don't know, it got me so good.
Yeah, I've heard of like the clowns in the storm drain, but never
No,
aliens.
I had a friend that used to dress up as a clown and find me in random places. Like, it's the weird kids that did a lot of mushrooms in high school, because that's just who he was as a person. He would, like, I remember one time seeing him at Walmart, fully decked out in his clown outfit, and he's just following me around without saying anything. Like, I was looking at shoes with my mom, and he was like going through the shoe boxes and looking, and I was like, Chase, is that you, Chase? Wouldn't answer. Like later on, the clown came by our house, and yes, it was Chase.
Oh.
And we were like, wait, go hide over here. And he like jumped out and scared my uncle. And my uncle was like, oh, he was mad. But yeah, no, clowns are really pretty freaky too. But I always just think it's the weird kid behind it. But the aliens, like, I had friends that would go out to go alien hunting because they were out in the middle of nowhere. I'm pretty sure they were just going and smoking joints. But I thought that was like the creative way to say it. But to this day, they still don't let up. They're like, no, there's aliens out in Scio. Okay, don't like that.
I think I am going to use that phrase from now on whenever if I ever go, smoke a joint or whatever. I'm going to go like, oh, I'm going to go alien hunting. That'll be my new phrase.
Yeah, like I just thought that that's what they were doing the whole time, and so I have used that I'm going to go alien hunting for many a things in my life because it just cracked me up. But I still like I talked to at least one of them still to this day, like 15 years later, and I'm like, so were the aliens real? And he will not let up. He's like, absolutely. We haven't seen them a lot lately, and I'm like, oh, I hate this. I hate it. I hate every part of that. Please be messing with me.
See, my problem with alien abduction stories, and like as you know, I fully believe in aliens. I think they're real. Obviously, the universe is too big for them to not be real. But alien abduction stories are like there's no evidence for them, so you're really just relying on a eyewitness testimony of the person who had it done to them or someone who saw it happen. And you can say the same thing about like ghosts and stuff, but there's a lot more like photographic and video proof, even if it's later disproved. There's like more evidence behind it, besides just the person saying, "Hey, I saw a ghost," and like the sheer number of alien abduction stories that have eventually been proven to be false. The person was on drugs, or they made it up, or they were mentally, not all there, and they were going through something. It's so disappointing because it like kind of shoots credibility into any kind of alien stories that are actually real.
Well, my argument there is really who is all the way there. I think any one of us could be proved that we're a little bit mentally off, because you kind of have to be in this day and age. But also, didn't they, like, the government come out and say, like, yes, aliens are real at one point? I felt like the world was already a catastrophe, so everyone was like, okay, cool, like, what's new?
Well, I think they said that UFOs, they've like identified that they're real. But like my other problem is with alien abductions in particular. It's like, okay, so they abduct the person, they probe them, and then just put them back onto Earth. Like, wouldn't you just take them with you and leave? Like, why would you need to like take them, probe them, drop them off? Just like take them with you and leave.
I don't know. I guess I would think of it as like, you know, the people that are weirdos that like do weird things with animals. Like, that's what I think. Those aliens that are taking people are probably like the equivalent of that to their race. Um, I feel like the smart ones are probably like, oh, we'll check these people out, but let's keep them from a distance because they're weird. Like, we're probably just really entertaining. Nobody really wants to interact with us, like, especially if we're a bunch of like less civilized society. Like, they're like, best to leave them alone. Or what if they're worried about like some sort of contamination? Like, they come and interact with us, and then like it's like extreme radiation or something. Because a lot of the people that do claim that kind of stuff, I feel like either have like, I've heard some of the stories of like implanting something in you or something like that. And it's just like, maybe we're too sensitive for that. Like, we already, like, cancer is so prevalent. Like, it just seems like maybe we're too sensitive.
That's fair. Yeah, I have to agree with the whole them not wanting to talk to us, because like literally, if they actually came out and were like, "Hey, we're here, we're real," I mean, half of our country in particular would be like, "All right, they suck. They're garbage beings and they're awful." Like they'd be just racist for the just for shits and giggles because half our country is awful apparently.
Well, yeah, and think of the people who'd be so scared and want to like just blow shit up because they're terrified. Like, I don't know. Maybe we're just too are we're very sensitive as a society that we just can't handle it. Mentally, the capacity's not there. We're already losing our minds just being with ourselves.
Every day, I feel like I get a little less sane. I lose my sanity.
I mean, yeah, if I think back to, like, I understand I was a child in the 90s, it just seems like simpler times.
Yes, it does. Uh, aliens aside, I actually went down a super deep dive yesterday on a crazy topic to do with dead bodies. And it's specifically like weird places they've been found, some creepy stories about like dead bodies being found in odd places. And like oddly, strangely enough, there's a large number of people who have found a dead body under their bed in hotel rooms or in the bed, like an alarming number of cases that it's happened for.
Like, that they didn't know it was there or it showed up in their stay.
They checked in, didn't know it was there, but there was like a weird smell in the room, and they couldn't navigate and find out where the smell was coming from. Eventually checked out or changed rooms, and eventually the hotel staff found a dead body, in like some cases like in the box spring. So I guess someone who killed them like cut out the center parts, put the body in there, and then the bed mattress on top of that, and then you wouldn't smell it for a while because it'd kind of be like contained a little bit, and then you wouldn't know where to look because if you were in like sometimes hotel beds are like really like tight and you can't really get inside them, so you really have to put effort into like digging them out.
That is terrifying. I also used to have a cat that would like scratch the top part of the box spring and get into that area and hide. And I'm like, that's how diabolical cats can be. But my God, I that's terrifying. Like, thinking the weird smell isn't just like the moldiness of the room or something like that, that there could be a dead body in there. I wonder how, there's a lot of stories of this. I've stayed in some really shoddy hotels. Don't like this.
I found like 2 dozen stories. Obviously, we're not gonna mention all 2 dozen, but like 2 dozen to start with. It was like I think I've done enough research, but also on this dive, I came into like random stories of the like hotel manager or housekeeping, like just finding someone who died in the hotel room, just of like natural causes, and like the trauma they had to, like they went through, and like therapy, because like you go into a hotel to clean it and you're not expecting to find this, you know, person dead, and like if you've never seen a dead body before, that's like it's traumatizing. I'd be fucked up. I would like need therapy for a long time. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like that is probably something that is because, like, you don't know, is it they died old age, natural causes? Is this somebody murdered somebody? Yeah. I feel like that could happen quite a lot. I worked in a hotel for a little while and I was the day shift, but I thought about how creepy it was during the day shift. Like, how is it being the night shift, even if there was one person that died there?
well, and like my I've seen enough, you know, Law and Order, CSI, Criminal Minds. Like, no, I'm now the first suspect finding the dead body. I'm like, all right, well, this guy, did he kill this?
Yeah. Well, and creepy things happen in hotels. Like, so many creepy, strange, oddball things happen in hotels, like people's behavior coming in and out, like so many creepy things. I was almost once kidnapped when I worked at the hotel.
Okay, story time.
There was this guy who came up to the front desk and he was talking about he was staying up in these one rooms and that he was looking for somebody to play cards with him. And I was like, well, I'm working, so no. And he's like trying to figure out what time I was off of work, and he went off in to the left, and that wing was completely shut down. We were remodeling, but first, second, third floor, all three of them. So him going that way, I'm like, he's kind of in a construction where maybe he's one of the people. So I called the owners because they were staying in the presidential suite at the time. And I was like, there's this man, he's acting super strange. He's trying to get me to play cards with him, even in the lobby. Like, that's kind of weird. I have a job to do. But and they're like, no, that is weird. I'm gonna come down. And he came back and tried to talk to me again. And I was like, what room were you staying in again? And he listed it off. And I did the like group rooms for teams that were coming in. And there was a team of like high school girls that was part of their block, and they had not arrived yet. They were not going to be there for another couple of hours. So I'm like, he's lying about his room. He's going into an area that he shouldn't go into. I don't know who this person is, and he's trying to find out what time I was getting off of work. And I don't know if they actually caught him, but we ended up calling the police in like immediately because we were like, okay, there's too many things here. This is too creepy. I don't know what's going on. I don't like any of this.
God.
And I was like, it's just a little 19-year-old girl. Like, no. Get
F that.
Yeah. Like, this is like 15 years ago, but yeah, no. No. There was too many weird things going on there, and the behaviors that you see of people, like whether they have good intentions or not. Like, I know somebody like put somebody who is homeless up in a room for the night, and then the next day they checked out and housekeeping was like there were feces smeared everywhere.
My God.
Yeah,
That's
just
awful.
the different stories. I had a group of people come and rent out rooms, and one of them tried to show me a bed bug from their room. Like, they had literally brought in a bed bug in a cup to try to get either discounted or their room for free. It was wild.
God.
It was wild. I couldn't mentally handle that job. I think I went back into retail after that. No, I left and went to school. That's what it was. Like, I can't handle it.
Oh my God. Yeah, I could never. I've had friends who are females who like have worked at the front desk and like done the night shift where they've had creepy guys who are like, hey, why don't you come up to my room when your shift is over? Like, that's just like, bro, you are so weird. Stop. Like, this is
Yeah.
not normal.
Yeah, it's so scary. And you don't know, like, are they really from town? Are you going to see this person again? No, no. It's so scary. Actually, the majority of my best friends have all worked in different hotels, and we definitely used to compare notes. One of them still works in hotels, but luckily she's in like sales now. Front desk is It's a no-go.
Yeah, after college, I really between community college and like my degree, I really wanted to work in hotels like overnight and do like those overnight shifts, and then um interviewed a lot, never got a job in one, but like the more and more I read about and heard about all these like horror stories, I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad I did not do that because no, thank you.
Yeah, even the swing shift guy was like, you don't want to work the swing shift. And the night auditor was like, you're not cut out for this. And he was like, yeah, you're probably right. It was already enough being in a big empty hotel in the daytime. I can't imagine being there all night by yourself because I still had like my managers. I still had the owners where they were much older, but they were awake at these times. I can't imagine.
No. But so back
Dead.
to the dead bodies thing, related to hotels. um, this this first story is about a dead body being found. It's a really weird one. Um, being found at an amusement park in California, and the ride is called the Laugh in the Dark ride. At the Pike Amusement Park in Long Beach, California. Um, so the year was 1976, and crew members from the TV show The $6 Million Man were shooting on location at this amusement park. And they were trying to get a shot of Steve Austin riding in one of the cars along the track of a spooky ride called the Laugh in the Dark. The ride featured a tunnel in which ghouls, demons, and skeletons would pop up and scare you as your car went side to side and jolted in the dark. And while sprucing up the set, an employee spotted a mannequin hanging from a noose in the corner. He reached for the mannequin's arm, and the arm broke off in his hand. Looking at the dismembered limb, the worker was astonished to see that there was a bone underneath layers of desiccated skin, and realized it wasn't a mannequin, it was a person. So the hanging corpse in question was once known as Elmer McCurdy, an outlaw who died in a gunfight with police 65 years before being found in that ride. In 1911, he robbed a train near Okesa, Oklahoma, and then took his spoils, $46 and 2 jugs of whiskey, north, where he holed up in a barnyard on the Kansas border. Police found him and then ended up killing him in a shootout among the hay in the barn. Um, and McCurdy's body was taken to a funeral home, but since no one claimed it, it kind of just sat there. And seeing a money making opportunity, the Undertaker embalmed him and allowed visitors to view his corpse if they placed a nickel in his mouth. And then 5 years into that lucrative scheme, a carnival man turned up at the funeral home claiming to be a long lost relative of McCurdy and requested to take his body so it could be laid to rest properly. He was, of course, lying, and within weeks, the body was the star attraction of a traveling carnival. So for 60 years, his mummy made the rounds of carnivals, wax museums, and haunted houses until it ended up in the Pike Amusement Park in Long Beach, California. And by this time, no one had remembered the guy's name, and they assumed the body was just fake. Um, After the set found the body, the police identified him as McCurdy and sent the body on to be buried at Summit View Cemetery in Guthrie, Oklahoma, where it is to this day. And they actually, to I guess prevent grave robbing, they put him in the ground and then put concrete around his casket so you can't get to the actual casket without like a jackhammer.
My God. First of all, what is with everybody wanting to mess with this guy's body? Like, that's crazy. Whose idea was it to take this fake body, and put a noose on it and hang it up somewhere? That seems nuts. It already seemed a little nuts. Um, I'm amazed at how great embalming seems to hold up after that many years, especially when it was done, would you say the 60s, 70s?
Uh, yeah, it was found in the 70s, and then
Oh,
it was
found.
embalmed, and it was embalmed in 1911.
Yeah,
Yeah,
embalming in 1911. Who knew that was going to hold up so well out in the elements, especially with the traveling and all that being on display. The whole nickels in the mouth thing, I hate that. That's awful. That
like
is,
who does that? Like who goes to like in this case they knew it was a dead body. Like who does that? Like just I'm gonna go see this dead body and put a nickel in his mouth. Like what the absolute hell?
yeah, like couldn't have picked up a basket, I guess. Couldn't have made one. Anything. Anything seems like a better idea than a nickel in his mouth. And man, I understand that he like robbed people and stuff, but what a what a way to feel like a like an external punishment.
You know, I think if I was a criminal, an outlaw who spent my life like, you know, on the run from the law, I would actually like if someone took my body and like passed it around to different places. Like
The
I'd feel
travel
like
circle.
special, you know? Like I'm an amusement. I'm like
I don't know. I think the way that they treat people that are or were in traveling circuses, I don't know if they still like that these days, but from what I've heard, I don't think they're treating you very well. I don't think you're that special. I yeah,
I
whoa. And then to end up in this, what was the ride's name again? Because that was a
la it was the Laugh in the Dark ride.
yeah, laugh in the dark sounds. That is a creepy name. Whoever came up with that, I don't imagining what kind of laugh still freaks me out too. Like, is it like a little kid laugh? Is it like a sinister laugh? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They had real dead bodies in there, or at least
Do you
one.
do you remember um at the start of COVID when scientists were so proud they they took a mummy and were able to like replicate his voice or whatever, and they put like millions of dollars into this research to like reproduce a sound that this mummy would have made back when he was alive, and all it was it was a guy going and that was it.
I think I do remember that. I think I do remember that. That's man. I guess that could come in handy.
It was like the funniest like it whenever I see that video and I post on Facebook, so ever so often I'll be in my memories. I'll always like repost it and just die laughing because it's so ridiculous. They spent all this money and time to do this really cool thing, and all they got was uh.
That is, yeah, they're so proud, especially with AI and how far it's come. I bet you could come up with some phrases now with the.
Speaking of AI, did you hear a Norwegian company has produced and put in beta test homes a humanoid AI who that can like do any chore you want, like do things like, carry boxes outside, mow the lawn, they can prune trees, they can vacuum, they can clean toilets, clean bathrooms. And like so I guess you would, you know, teach them how to do the things. Like here's how you clean the bathroom or here's how you mow the lawn. But eventually it would learn that hey, the bathroom is dirty, I need to clean it. Or hey, the dishes are dirty, they're piling up in the sink, I need to do the dishes or I need to mow the lawn. And like that, I never thought in our lifetime we'd have a humanoid AI available almost.
I wouldn't have thought that either. It's so scary to me. Knowing how much things have changed from like the 90s and how simple they were and seeing how technology's progressed and where we are now, it already feels like we're overworked. We don't have enough time for our chores. Now they're giving us reasons to not have to do the chores, but also that feels like that could go a different way. Like, okay, when at some point then will this AI robot essentially get pissed that they're doing nothing but the the grunt work around the house, and then I'm sitting there being pissed that I already spent this many hours working all the time and never actually enjoying my life so that I could afford my AI robot to do my dishes. I just want to go back to doing my dishes. Not working so hard.
I posed this question to friends who had the same thought. Like, I don't know if I want this. Like, it seems like it's just too much hassle, too much. I don't want this to be taking over our lives so much. And I was like, yeah, but imagine you never have to do like clean your toilet again. You never have to clean your gutters again. You can do things like, you know, planting seeds and like tending to your garden if you want to do that and like do things that are important to you while the AI takes all the stupid boring tasks.
I know, but how hard do I have to work and how many hours do I have to put in to afford AI and what it's doing? Because at that point, they're probably going to give me some subscription service for it. I'm going to have to do something, or electricity is going to be a different kind of cost so that I can charge this thing. There's going to be some sort of cost that I don't know if it outweighs my sanity. Because then at that point, I'm going to be like, can I afford this? What do I have to take away from my life so that I can afford this, so that I can have the time, because I can't do both, because that's like the new expectation. I don't know. It feels like a slippery slope.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
I would take the dishes. I would take so many different things. Like right now, it already feels like you have to have that like secondary income that's just passively making itself somehow. I haven't quite figured that out. I'm sure there's so many people who have, but like it feels like you have to be able to do that to survive now.
Yeah, yeah, you really do.
Imagine how
Um,
passive incomes you'd have to have.
so right now they're projecting this will cost like the price of a car, so like $20,000 is what they're estimating it would be. But that is like at the start. So maybe would it be more worth it if it was like, I don't know, $1,000 outright for the Android, and you might pay like $30 a month for like a subscription fee, or like a tiered fee where it's like if you want them to do, everyday tasks like $100 a month, or like just the stuff that you don't want to do, like, a weekly cleanup, it's like $10 a month.
Yeah, like the Cards Against Humanity if you want that bonus pack so that you can keep going on. I don't know. It's a slippery slope. Remember when we wanted that for like TV shows, and then now the subscription services are like, if I want everything, I'm having to pay for all of them. Now I'm paying this many companies instead of the $100 for cable.
Uh, did you see that Hyundai is? I think it's Hyundai. They're they are rolling out a feature where you have to pay for certain parts of your car features, like heated seats are like $10 a month, and if you don't pay it, they just turn it off. Like these were the things that up until now have been like standard in your car, but like
Yeah,
the idea they could like, oh well, you didn't pay $10 a month, so now you can't use your windshield. It's turned off.
it's that is nuts. That is nuts. Yeah, I hate it. I hate it. I remember my standard car for so long was 98 Volvo wagon. Because if something broke on it, I could go to pick apart and I could break a couple while learning how to take the one that I want out. And then I'd know how to go change it in my own car. And I had heated seats. I didn't have to pay anything.
Speaking of cars, Stephanie has an update for us on her car journey. Last week she was in an accident, so she has an update on that now.
Yes, I have a new car. I went last night and bought a new one. And the car that I wrecked was a Hyundai, and I've never been more proud. I'm so excited
Yes,
to not be in the Hyundai family anymore. Not that I hate Hyundais, but I hate that subscription thing's coming to a vehicle near you.
you avoided it.
Yeah, I dodged that for sure. I can only imagine. There were so many, like, one of the locks didn't work in my car. If they would be like, I could turn this back on for $10 a month, I'd be like, you know what? It's a pain in the butt. I'm going to leave it off.
Like, oh, you want to start your car today? Well, you didn't pay your $10 a month fee. You actually can't use your car until you pay it.
Yeah. Do you know how often the key fob batteries broke? I literally just changed mine, and it was my second time this year. They complimentary did it at the dealership, but it goes out in 3 months if that's what you do. Somehow got complimentary shipped them from Amazon. I don't know how that worked out, but thank you, Amazon. I would like to thank you for that key fob. It lasted me a whole 2 weeks.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, that is awesome. Excited you have a new car. That's really nice, and they replaced your car seats. That's even cooler.
Yes,
That you have
they
safe
haven't
new
done
car seats.
quite yet, but I am so excited about it. I mean, I had the Costco one, so I was like, okay, it's easy as this. This is what I have. I don't even need to do the slim fit anymore because my car is big enough that I can have the car seats back there. I laid in the trunk and I was like, you could fit so many bodies in here.
FBI, this is for entertainment purposes only. That was a joke.
Yes, yeah, no, but I could hide in the back trunk of my car and it'd be really, really easy. My kids would never find me.
So speaking of dead bodies, I mentioned hotel rooms being a weird place that people have found bodies at. Um, and here are some of the stories that I actually was able to locate, dating back to the 90s when this happened. Um, the first one on July 10th, 2003, a man checked into Cap, Cap the Capri Motel just east of downtown Kansas City and began complaining about a foul odor in his room. Management told him nothing could be done about the problem and they could not find the source of it. And so he spent 3 nights in his room before checking out because he could no longer stand the smell. When the cleaning staff came in and made the room up on July 13th, so 3 days later, they lifted the mattress and underneath they found a dead man's body in an advanced stage of decomposition. So in the box spring
Was
had
it
been
in the box spring
decomposing.
or was it between them?
It could be between them, but I feel like if it was between them, there'd be a lump versus in the box spring would be kind of out of the way. Maybe it was between them, but
Yeah, I'm advanced decomposition. It just depends on how big this guy is.
can you imagine having slept in that bed?
No,
Ah,
I used to hide
ugh.
in between my mattress and my box spring, and thinking about how difficult that would have been. No, I cannot. I hate that. I hate that. But
So
now I'm
we
thinking logistics. So I'm like, okay, so what kind of bed frame was this? Was it the ones with the boards going across? What did this person? And did they find out who this was? Because advanced decomposition.
They identified him later on, but they still have not, as far as I read, they have not found out who they haven't found his killer or really who stuffed him in the bed.
And did he rent that hotel room?
That I hadn't read up on, so I'm not really sure. It seems like though, probably is what I would assume. He was probably staying there and then got murdered and then stuffed in there.
Man,
So I feel if you're a murderer, I feel like it'd be so sloppy to bring someone back to your hotel and stuff them in the mattress of somewhere where you've had a record, unless you're paying cash only, I guess.
I guess. Or you just, yeah. It reminds me of Israel Keys, how he used to do the random murders all over the place, and you couldn't tell what kind of victims he's going after, and he had kill kits everywhere. Like that's how I would see it: is somebody who's just picking people out randomly, and then he sees this guy rented a hotel room, somehow gets in there, kills him, You'd have to do the bottom of the box spring to put him in either that way or sandwich him in between. Of course,
My question my question is like so they found him when they changed the sheets, but did they not change the sheets the first time? Or did somebody come in between the previous person checking out, the hotel cleaning the room, and then this other person checking in and put the body in there? Because like, unless they're not changing the sheets, which I've heard hotels or motels are very infamous for not changing their sheets and saying they do.
well, you wouldn't have to take the sheets off the whole bed. Like, what if this is like a king size bed and he's in the direct middle of the bed? Or if he's in the
It's
box
true.
spring, there's not really a sheet on the box springs at most places. Normally, it's just like box springs there. They put the top sheet on, or the fitted one, and then the top sheet's tucked in. They're really only going around the outside, so
That's true. That's fair.
I guess not for that guy, and not for the guy who had to lay in that bed. And like I can't take the smell. There's nothing we could do about it, sir. Good luck. No refunds.
I am marking off the Capri Motel as something I will never stay at.
Yeah, Kansas City. No thanks. Sorry. I'm sure it's
We
great.
got so Holiday Inns are out because of just awful hotels. Everything. and then this Capri Hotel. And there was one that you stayed in that you said was awful. I don't recall what it was.
I feel like it was like a roadway inn. It was one of the Choice hotels back when I worked at Choice Hotels. But I feel like it was the lower end. Like if you were an employee there, it was like $50 to stay. And it was just like really, really close to the Moda Center, and I just wanted to see basketball games. So I'd stay at any that had availability. It was $50.
Okay, so the next one is on June 10th, 1999, the rapidly decomposing remains of 64-year-old Sal Hernandez were discovered inside the bed in room 112 at the Burgundy Motor Inn in Atlantic City, New Jersey. A German couple had spent the night sleeping over his remains, and it was their complaint about the smell the next morning which led to his discovery. So again, a body had been there for, I'm not a scientist, but I feel like more than a few days will cause that rapid, decomposing of the body.
Well, yeah, I want to say probably. I mean, when was this again? What time of the year?
June, so just summer.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the summer heat, New Jersey is probably kind of like humid, because when I lived in Pennsylvania, it was super humid there, especially around like May. Yeah. And then, man, I can't imagine like humid decomposition and you're laying on a mattress that's just like soaking in that.
Oh my god, that's just so gross. Ugh.
Atlantic City already feels like a tinge dirty, like Vegas.
But why am I not surprised that this happened in Atlantic City?
Yeah, it just feels a tinge dirty. I don't know. Atlantic City, New Jersey. I don't know.
Well, now I kind of want to stay in room 112 at the Burgundy Motor Inn in Atlantic City to see if it's haunted. Maybe bring a Ouija board.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you okay with that? But then Kansas City's out?
Well, they didn't list the room, so I guess if I could find the room number, maybe I would go there.
I think there's other places that are like tried and they're supposed to be like actually haunted. This feels like a offshoot. Like maybe you just want to go to Atlantic City. It's okay to say
that. Actually, I'll just go to Atlantic City and like go ask around hotels, like, has anyone died in your hotel? And if they have, can you check me into that room? And they're like, yes, sir. The presidential suite actually had a dead body in it. It's like $10,000 a night. Like,
you're like,
I'm the sucker that would pay that.
You would?
I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah, we need
If
sponsors.
I had $1 billion, yes, I would do that.
I'm sure that we could find something even closer to you. You don't have to go anywhere. But the next business trip you have, I maybe do a little bit of research if you have any sort of say in it.
That
Hey,
is an excellent idea.
yeah, I just want to see somewhere that might be haunted. I promise that I will not fill the room to capacity so that ghosts can't hang out here.
Speaking of winning the lottery, a random thought I just had. So, there is this gas station. This is totally random, not related to anything paranormal, but there's this gas station in Utah, and whenever I go down there, like you pass by it, and it's in the middle of nowhere. They charge a ton of money for gas, but like they don't allow anyone to use their bathrooms. They don't allow trucks to stop there at all for gas. It's like just you know, regular cars, no bathrooms, and they have like alpacas in their like in front of their store, and they're like really just treat it like trash, and they're not really fed well. But so if you go on their page, and I'll send you after that, I don't want to give it away the location, but like if you go on their Google review page, there's like 1,000 reviews, like just 1 star, like just tearing into this person. Um, and the owner will take the time to respond to each individual review and like not just respond, but like just trash talk the person to oblivion, like call them fat, call them stupid, whatever you could think of. And so I wrote a review just I wanted to see what he said to me and like just calling out everything about this gas station. And the next time I had to get gas, I just had to stop there. I had no choice. And he actually blocked all of my credit cards, like in my name, so I couldn't get gas. And I was like, okay, this is a great level of petty that I can get behind. But I thought I was like, if I win the lottery and it's like, $1 billion, I am going to buy the land next to your gas station, put a gas station here, charge 1 penny for a gallon of gas until you go out of business.
That
Take
is
your alpacas.
hilarious. You wrote one review and he has thousands of reviews. And he went and made sure that you can't use a single card there. How good
Yeah.
was your review?
Right. It was so funny. I was like, maybe this one card is like, not working or whatever. So I tried like 3 more cards and everyone declined, declined, declined. I was like, okay, like this is clearly not a me issue. It's a someone blocked me from using.
That is so funny. So you wrote the reviews under your name.
I
And it's
did. That was my mistake.
just one.
Just one.
How mean were you in this review?
So this is what I said. I said the times we've stopped here, the place has been closed with the notorious back in a bit post-it. They always do that. They close down for like hours and they don't ever show up to their gas station. And so you can't like get snacks or even try to use the bathroom. And I said, from the way they respond to all 1 star reviews and insult people, the owners sound like they're the ones that have the fragile ego. And they responded, "Keep stopping in, Holden. Yes, we have to take a break every now and then. Sorry that is hurtful to you. Hope you feel better now." And like that was a tame response, but like
But they said
they
stopping in. And they're like, ha ha ha. Keep
like get
in. So yeah, it was tame, but not the what was behind that review.
yeah, they like people on here talk about like their alpacas being mistreated and like mind your business. We treat these alpacas with love. Um, or they'll write it as one of the alpacas. This is Fabio the alpaca. Even though I am new to the herd in the middle of nowhere, I am amazed at how much fun and happy people stop here every day. So many pellets I'm fed. You are welcome to stop here, but complaining on a review site makes you look a bit silly. Um,
Responding as
yeah.
an alpaca named Fabio makes you look a little bit silly.
But yeah, that was my weird offshoot. Of I don't know how I got into that mindset, but I just thought that was
Being
really funny
petty.
and petty. Being petty. Uh, also, I have an update to you know how I asked if you would get buried in the ground for like an hour? Um, so I saw on TikTok a caveat to this, and there's no money involved. But would you rather every like once a month, you don't know when it happens, once a month for the rest of your life, you just get popped into a concrete box. Like you wake up and you're in a concrete box, 6 feet under, food, oxygen, everything is in there. Um, and you're in there for an entire day. So you will live, you'll get out in 24 hours, but you're stuck there for 24 hours with food, oxygen, and water. Would you rather that, or would you rather every time you see a puppy in the world and you look at it, make eye contact with it, you have to kick it? Like you have no choice but to punch it across like the rest of your life. Like you have a choice.
It's the concrete box. It's the concrete box.
Yeah.
I can't kick puppies. I love puppies. No way.
I was like, there is no way that if I ask Steph this question that she's gonna say the puppies. Like I'm gonna get her to say that she'll get into a concrete
Yeah,
box.
once a month. I'm like, I hope everybody understands. Like my kids are like, "Where's mom?" Sorry, I didn't know it'd be on our time.
I have this agreement with this guy who weirdly said I have to do this or kick a dog.
Yeah, I hope you can understand that, like the moral implications here of being with you or kicking a puppy. I had to choose that I wouldn't be with you. I'm sorry. I'll be back. I'm fine. There's no money involved, which is some BS if you ask me. Because the only way I was getting into this concrete box or into this little tomb was that I am laying on the money so that I know that it exists and you have to come get me. No, I can't kick puppies.
Right?
It doesn't
Yeah.
even matter if I hate that puppy. I'm not kicking that puppy.
Nope. And you can't like you're like kind of screwed. Like you would have to walk around blindfolded because the second you like look at a dog, even like at the corner of your eye, it's like, all right, well, here we go.
Yeah, yeah. I'd be really fit though because I'd have to run to all these puppies.
Okay, so you're welcome for that little side quest there. So another story, we'll end the dead body stories in the hotel rooms here for a sec. In Virginia in 1989, Jerry Lee Dunbar disposed of the remains of two victims in hotel rooms or hotel beds. 27-year-old Deidre Smith, who was discovered in May under the floor of a motel room. So under the floor of a motel room on Route 1, and 29-year-old Marilyn Graham, who turned up in June under a bed in the Alexandria Economy Lodge. And in Smith's case, the killer first kept her body partially hidden under his bed for 2 days, and then subsequently placed her in the crawl space underneath the carpeted floor. Her presence seemingly didn't bother him because he didn't move out of that room until 3 or 4 weeks later. Both bodies were eventually found after a guest complained about the smell.
Virginia feels very humid as well, so maybe you can have a body there for quite a while before the smell really gets to anybody. But I was wondering how he had the time to put somebody in the floor. Like, what kind of craftsmanship was that nobody noticed there was a big old, like, even walking over something, if you somehow did make that hole, walking over the boards, and all of a sudden, like, it feels hollow. My first thought would be like, is there money in there? I have to check it out.
Surprise, surprise. It is not money. It is a dead body.
Yeah, and it's never a mannequin. I feel like all the stories, it's like, oh, I thought I saw a mannequin. It's never a mannequin. It's never.
I will never look at mannequins the same way now. I'll just assume they're dead bodies. Oh, weirdly, mannequins. This I didn't even find this story. I heard this story like 2 years ago. There is a wedding dress store, I think in Mexico, or a South American country, and they have in their window what everyone believes is the body of the shop's previous owner, like as a mannequin, so, like mummified and like basically waxed and stuff, so she doesn't like decompose. And she's always featured in the front of the store in their window. And apparently, if you go to this shop, they claim that it's actually a mannequin, not a dead body, but it looks so real that there's no way it's not a dead body.
Man, I watched a lot of Uncanny Valley videos this last week, and I'm like, it's probably not a mannequin because I don't know if I ever believe that it's a mannequin at this point. But the Uncanny Valley, like there's so many people that will. There's a specific artist that does taxidermy for animals and then does human faces on them. Yeah, no, can't handle that. That was the stuff of nightmares. Having somebody, this is a mannequin, and make it look human. Oh, I thought of that. And then to sell wedding dresses, I can't. How?
And apparently, I think the urban legend was that if you buy the dress that is off her body, that person has like a lot of good luck that happens to them. Like really good things happen to them after they get married. So it's a positive story. She brings good luck to the
You would
if
have
it
to
is
do
a dead
that.
body.
You would have to. That is making
I
your own
would I would buy the dress regardless. I'm like, all right, bring on the bad luck, bring on the good luck. I don't know.
Why do you want bad luck?
I'm on a quest to see if like to really put to the test the idea that like bad luck can be transferred from objects to humans.
That is one hell of a quest.
But like like okay, what do we consider bad luck? Because I bought this painting right here last Saturday or Sunday, one of the two, and I have a cold in the same week. Like, is that bad luck or is that just happenstance, like a coincidence?
I guess if your cold sticks around for the duration of having this, maybe. Otherwise, it may just be seasonal of some sort, and it's not really bad or good luck. But if it's
Has nothing to
consistent
do.
enough, then we might need to get you some sage and see if that starts to clear things up. But we got to keep you sick for a while to test the bad luck part. So, to be determined.
Of course, it has nothing to do with the fact that my daughter has been sick for like 2 weeks. Like, nothing to do with that at all.
Maybe
Of course.
you gotta prolong it and see. Because was she sick because of the painting? When did you get it again?
Saturday.
Yeah, it's been about a week now. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's why you got transferred it. Otherwise, as a parent, I normally think, wow, these kids get sick a lot. How do I not get sick as much as them? Once in a while, it gets me. I'm like, oh shit, should have knocked on wood.
Okay, so those were hotel stories. Now, for the last bit of the podcast, I am going to tell you some weird places that dead bodies have been found. And not all these bodies, like when I read, are nefarious, like murdered. They're just like they've been found in these places. The first one is near the set of CSI New York. In September 2006, a mummified body was located on the fifth floor of an LA building where CSI New York was shooting a season 3 episode. And though they were shooting on the seventh floor, so 2 floors up. The plot didn't involve a mummified body in the show, but there was one in an earlier episode that hadn't aired yet. Well, some people suspected the grisly discovery was a publicity stunt, and it was named nicknamed Corpsegate. At least 2 people claiming to be building residents told the media they believed the story was true, and they cited pungent odors on the 5th floor. Apparently, the man had failed to pay rent, and his body was found when a building employee went to investigate. So, a guy just died naturally and was just left there for a while.
I mean, I believe it. There's a lot of people in this world. It's just they found it because of this episode being filmed and like enough people smelt it, or was it just later discovered? I definitely don't think that it was like a ruse to. There's a lot of CSI episodes. Like it was bound to happen.
I could see it being like not initially a ruse, but like, oh hey, a body was discovered. Let's put this in the media so people will like want to watch our show.
Well, yeah, I just think that the connection feels like maybe that was a little bit like it's grasping a little bit because like this guy was there for a while. It's just probably that nobody was curious enough like what's going on here. Is yeah. I don't know what a body smells like and I'm thankful for that. But at the same time, like if I were to smell something awful, I would just stay away from that spot if I could help it. So I don't know that I'd be the person to discover any of this. Very sensitive to smell.
Yeah, I have no desire to smell a dead body or know what one smells like. So like,
Yeah, if it
no.
smells bad, I'm out. Like I am not investigating. Nope. It would have to be mummified, and at that point, like I don't know. I always get kind of freaked out when you see like even stuff on local pages where it was like body was found here. I'm like, oh, that sounds terrible. I was there the other day. I'm really thankful that that wasn't me that found this. Like that happened for a barbecue that we had for work. We were at a park, and like a couple days later, some like teenagers found a body out there, and I'm like, wow, really lucky that wasn't where we were, or it since then something came up, but I don't know how I'd react to that.
To me, I think it's worse if not necessarily if I found it, but like if I had a dog and the dog like went off and ran to the park and like brought back a hand. Like that would be like somehow a lot worse than just me finding a body in the woods.
I don't know. At that point, I feel like my mind would convince me that this somehow looked very mannequin like so that I can protect myself from like completely losing it.
Yeah. Therapy for life. So in the next one is in Spain, and it involves a bed, but no one being stuffed inside the bed. Two sisters, Mildred Bowman and Alice Wardle, failed to return from their vacation to Benidorm, Spain in '05, and a friend called the authorities. Resort employees discovered both their bodies trapped between their Murphy bed and its frame, which had detached from the wall and fallen on the bed, suffocating both of them at the same time.
That is a new fear unlocked. I mean, I've thought about that with Murphy beds. Like, what if the bed part just doesn't stay down and goes up and then you're stuck in it because it works too well somehow? Or it like that, the frame coming detached from the wall and coming down on you. That feels like it'd be pretty heavy duty to be secured up there. It'd be so nice having that space, but terrifying.
I've never been in a Murphy bed, but I can definitely see how like I've always been terrified of like the idea of like being in one of those beds because again, snaps up and you're trapped and you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, and having the two of them and like they didn't I feel like I would imagine if it came off the wall and came onto them, they wouldn't have died right away because they would have been like trying to get out of it. That two people cannot get themselves out. So scary. Granted, I don't know how old these sisters are, but I'm picturing not that old.
Um, doesn't say, but I assume like at least uh 30, 40, 50,
Yeah,
60, 70,
I don't know.
80, or 90.
I was imagining like 20s to 40s, and I like they're on this trip together, trying to see Spain, and then they get trapped and trying to get their way out. Like, I would try absolutely everything, and I feel like that is where you get your secret strength. And if they couldn't have gotten out of that, man, even more terrible if they like slept through it.
So update, they were actually in their 60s. I just checked, so they were a little bit up there.
Yeah, it's very contingent on like how much strength and stamina you have in your 60s with the determination to get out of that one.
I'm gonna make sure that I train for this scenario. But like, all right, I'm gonna practice pushing myself off of the wall.
I mean, yeah, you also have to think about like the physics behind it, like with that frame coming down, the bed. I'm guessing that the head of the bed goes perfectly in there. Maybe even has a little bit of extra space there. I'm not sure what that looks like. Um, when the bed goes in and it's up on the wall, does it have some sort of platform underneath the bed that like seals it? Because it probably looks nice when it's up. So when it comes down, it would that seal it like one of those old toy chests where like you have to kind of worry about your kids getting in it and getting stuck in there. My daughter's done that before with hers, but she had one of the cheap, I want to say it was like Ross or like TJ Maxx kind of place, and so it has like holes in it and stuff. But there was the one time that I was going down the stairs and I like heard her kind of yelling something at me, and I looked at my son and I was like, what is she saying? And he's like, she's saying, don't do this to me, because she's in the toy box hiding and she can't get out. And I was like, oh my God, and ran for it. But we didn't have one of the toy chests that like would suffocate her. She just didn't want to be alone in her bedroom, and she is sneaky like that. She's still sneaky like that. She didn't learn a thing. Constantly hiding from us.
These dang COVID kids, man, they're feral.
Yeah, they really, really are. I don't know. I'm back to the logistics of it. Like, it just feels like there's so many things there that I would be so disoriented from being asleep to trying to figure out how I can get this heavy piece of furniture from. And what if you're just stuck with like your arms on your side and you can't do anything?
Yeah, and you just are trapped. There was I didn't pull this into this in this episode, but there was a story of a girl. I think she was in her teens or early 20s. Apparently her room was, you know, there's a lot of stuff in there, but she was trying to get something behind her. I think it was a bookcase, and somehow, some way, she got pinned behind the bookcase and like upside down. And her no one noticed that she was gone for like, I think it was like a day that she had been missing for. And eventually, like, they reported her to the police. Police found nothing, and then they started smelling a really awful smell from her room, and then went in there, moved the bookcase, and her body was behind the bookcase, trapped, and she had been suffocated. Like that. Or this is also a crazy one. There was a kid who was driving his parents' minivan, and he reached back to get something out of the trunk, and the seat like pinned him up between the roof and the seat. And so he was stuck in this position. And so he thankfully had his phone. So he called the police, and they were able to trace where his phone was in the like a general area of where his phone was. But there were so many cars in the parking lot, they couldn't figure out which car it was. And so the operator on the phone like was talking to him through the whole process, and eventually like he died because they couldn't find the car and he was stuck. And then eventually, when it was the only car left in the parking lot, they found his body.
Wow.
And because of that, I think it was Toyota or Honda had to change the way their seats are designed so they can't do that mechanism anymore.
Wow. I know, I've heard of that one case where it was like a young kid, and this is a conspiracy because they don't know that it happened the way that they said that it happened, but it was I want to say maybe early high school age kid guy. He was going to get his like gym shoes, and he went there was like they were found at the bottom of like a wrestling mat, and he was wedged into the wrestling mat upside down, and they don't know if somebody like did that to him or if he had just been stuck in that position for so long that he died there. Because the being upside down, like the way that your blood goes, like, man, I just, what a way. Like, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
And they had this kid like on the video surveillance and everything. It didn't find him.
Makes you paranoid about everything in the world. You're like, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like, I gotta be super cautious. Teach my kids to be super cautious. Like,
Yeah. I mean, especially with being a parent. Like, I feel like I wasn't really scared of things. Like, I knew that things could go wrong before I was a parent, and now that I'm a parent, like, nothing can happen to me because then they don't have me, and nothing can happen to them because I can't even imagine that. Like, no, terrified. I was telling my therapist about that. Like, I'm so much more scared of the world now that I have kids than I ever was. Like, my goal in life was like swim with jellyfish, swim with sharks, like go skydiving, all these scary things.
somebody's drag racing.
Yeah, like go speed racer. What are they doing? But yeah, my goals in life are all really scary things, and now too scared. Oh, there's the guy who's racing. He's going just really scared now.
He wants to be featured on the podcast.
Yeah.
So the last story I found about of the dozens of stories I found of dead bodies in weird places, it's actually in Disneyland at Disneyland Paris's Phantom Manor, which is filled with fake cobwebs and campy specters. But it turned seriously macabre in 2016 when employees discovered the body of their coworker, a 45-year-old technician believed to have been electrocuted while fixing a broken light. And it wasn't the only recent death at Disneyland Paris. 5 years before, another employee had died after getting stuck under a boat in the It's a Small World ride. It suddenly started operating while he was working in there and got stuck. And then they found his body.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it. It's just what a way. Like, I don't know. Have you had those like super morbid thoughts? I feel like when I'm home alone and especially when I was living at my apartment by myself and my kids were down with their dad, I was like, if something were to happen to me, how long would it take for anyone to know? Like, I had giant trees all around my house, and I was like, if one of these fell on me in the middle of the night, how long would it take before anybody would know? Terrifying. And these people were at work. I hate that. Did you hear about that person in Arizona?
No.
Oh, there's like a person in Arizona who they were at work and something happened, they passed away, and they found her like the following week. And I think it was a woman, but that actually, I used to live and work in Arizona, and I had I did property management, and so we had people all over the country that we worked with, and one of my accountants was just never responding, and I was like, I can't get a hold of her no matter what I do. And so I was going to this person, that person, like, I can't get a hold of her, she's not responding to my emails. I was kind of getting pissed, and because of that, they found out that she had actually passed away. But this was like COVID time, so we all were working remotely. Nobody knew. And then my boss was like, "Hey, you know the accountant that was like never responding to you?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, she passed away, and then it was around like Thanksgiving time, so just no one knew. And everybody was on salary, so yeah, it's not like a clock in, clock out kind of thing. Nightmares. I do not want to die working.
No, not at all. I mean, ugh. So when I was younger, I don't know if this website still exists. It was called Dead Man Switch, where they would you could like set your email up to send out an email to specific people in the event that you died, and they would know if you died through like sending you monthly email check-ins saying, hey, if you're still alive, please click here to verify. And I would do that every month, be like, all right, I'll verify I'm still alive. And like had like my email set to go to my parents and like friends, like, hey, I'm dead now. Like, here's my passwords to my account. Like, here's my bank account information. Stuff they would need to know is before I got married. And I completely forgot about it for like a year. And if you don't complete like 3 check-ins, it emails out automatically all of your pre-written emails. And so I was at work, my mom calls me and she's like, I just got an email saying that you were dead. And like, here's the passwords to your accounts. And I was like, oh fuck. Oh, I was
Gotta
like, I
change
didn't
all
do the
those.
check-ins. Gave my
Wow.
parents a heart attack for no reason because I just forgot this feature. I did.
You're like, I'm sorry, this is bachelor days. I just wanted to make sure everyone could get a hold of all these things. Now I gotta switch all my passwords. No, they taught you. Like that's what you get for not checking your emails for 3 months. But your poor
Yeah,
parents. And did you have any friends set up on that? Like, and any of them that you lost contact with, and you're like, well, I guess I'm dead to them now.
thankfully, all the friends I had set it up with, it was like relatively recent when I had forgotten about it. Like 2 years into the whole program, so I knew those people still, and like we're friends with them on a regular basis. So like, yeah, this guy is still alive, and like, but it was so funny getting a phone call. Like, mom's like, um, "Are you okay? Like, this sounds like a really dark thing you sent me."
Yeah,
Hey, just so you know, I'm dead.
it sounds like you, so I don't think this is a scam, but I'm just really confused right now. That's so crazy. I've never heard of that. I do wonder if that's still around. But I can see the faults in it because sometimes I just don't care about my email, especially if you're sending me a text message, I still might ignore that. You've seen how great I am at responding to text messages. It's not there.
Right? You would automatically get and actually it's still up. It's still up. You can build your switch, they call it. Now they charge for it. So you have they check in every 2 days and you have one recipient you can email it to, or you can do 100 recipients and 100 messages and $50 for a lifetime.
Oh,
And
that's
then
not
they do
nice.
it. No.
Not to scare everybody, but yeah, that's not a bad price. Oh, for a lifetime? Damn. How often can you change
Yeah.
it?
You can update it as much as you want, but just don't forget
Uh,
about it being set up, and then you will give people heart attacks.
I changed my mind. I don't want this to send to my mom. I'm gonna make it my sister. And then like a month later, like, actually, no, she wouldn't care. Let's go change it to somebody else.
uh,
What a life we.
yeah.
But back to that subscription service thing. Like, actually, no.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, what a time we live in. Everything will be a paid feature from now on.
Yeah, even the emails that you send out after. Damn.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us in this episode. It's a pretty dark episode, but hope you all enjoyed it as much as you can. Don't stuff dead bodies into hotel rooms. Don't. I mean, you could check into a hotel room that had a dead body in there and report back if it's haunted, but don't be stuffing dead bodies, and don't forget to check your mattress. Although nowadays, most hotels I have been in, they only have like the one like 2-in-1, so you can't like. I guess you could still stuff someone in there from the bottom, but
Mm. Yeah, only if it has like that wood thing at the bottom it's just empty. I can imagine that when they change the sheets though, that they would see it a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I just
Although
want to clarify,
now,
my trunk can fit a lot of bodies, but not dead ones. I did not say dead ones. I just laid in
I
it
inferred
fetal
it.
style, and I was like, I would be at least across 3 of me. The big
How tall are you?
5'3".
Okay, so
But I was fetal position. So, but I was like, wow, there's so much space back here. I told my aunt today because we went to Costco and Trader Joe's, and I was like, oh, we could fit so many groceries in here. We could have the car seats in the back seat, and I can use the mascot from work and still put him in the trunk, and like no problem.
well, thanks everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.